Hello and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and these are short episodes with the top diabetes stories and headlines happening now. As this episode goes live, it is World Diabetes Day. It's marked every year on November 14th, and that is the birthday of Sir Frederick Banting, who co-discovered insulin along with Charles Best. World Diabetes Day was created in 1991 by the International Diabetes Federation and the World Health Organization, and it became an official United Nations Day in 2006. There's going to be a ton of stuff in your feeds today, and that is great. I am glad you have made time for In the News, and I'm going to keep this to a pretty normal episode, although I do have my own World Diabetes Day announcement. I want your community commercials. You could have an ad for your event or your blog or your project right here. There's a post over at diabetes-connections.com and in the show notes explaining it all, and I'll come back at the end of the episode and tell you more. Our top story today, the primary oral insulin trial, is the first large-scale clinical trial to test whether giving at-risk children daily oral insulin could prevent or delay type 1. This took place across 5 European countries, enrolled more than 1,000 children with the genetic risk for type 1. It showed while oral insulin did not prevent the development of islet autoantibodies, an early sign of diabetes, it was safe and well tolerated. And researchers found that some children who got the oral insulin developed diabetes more slowly than those given a placebo. These researchers say genetic screening sometime in the future could help identify which children might benefit most from oral insulin, and they're going to continue following the participants until age 12 to assess the long-term effects. Joint U.S.-Chinese research looking at generating new beta cells from stomach cells. They took human stomach cells and converted them to insulin-secreting cells in mice. They apparently resembled pancreatic beta cells with respect to gene and protein expression. And insulin secreted from the transformed human cells helped control blood sugar levels. The scientists hope that they can directly convert cells from a patient's own stomach into insulin-secreting cells. Many more studies are needed to find out if this is safe and effective to be used in people. A new study in Nature Metabolism may help explain why children born to moms with type 1 are less likely to develop the disease early in life compared to those whose fathers or siblings have it. Researchers looked at nearly 2,000 moms and their kids and found that children whose mothers have type 1 show changes in their DNA that might actually help protect them. These are epigenetic changes, chemical tags that turn certain genes on or off. And the study found these changes tied to the immune system and type 1 risk. Next step is to confirm these results in more diverse groups and figure out exactly how these changes help prevent diabetes at an earlier age. Another study shows that sons born to mothers with type 1 may develop early vascular dysfunction regardless of their overall metabolic health. The findings may help shape future strategies to prevent cardiovascular disease early in life. Teams now focusing on the long-term effects of maternal diabetes, with a particular focus on why sons seem to be affected earlier than daughters. A new study shows that the drug finerenone significantly reduced a key marker of kidney damage in people with type 1 and chronic kidney disease. This is the first major breakthrough for this population in more than 30 years. Researchers found that patients taking finerenone saw a 25% average reduction in this marker compared to a placebo, suggesting a lower long-term risk for dialysis or kidney transplant. The phase 3 FINE-1 trial involved 242 adults with type 1 and CKD, and results showed benefits as early as 3 months. Finerenone is already approved for type 2-related CKD. Based on these results, Bayer, the manufacturer here, plans to seek FDA approval in 2026 for use in people with T1D and CKD. This week, Tandem Diabetes Care announced a major milestone for Mobi, its tiny, durable insulin pump system. They say they've received FDA approval for the Android version of the Mobi mobile app. Really important as they continue to roll out Mobi internationally. A limited rollout of the Android capability next month, followed by full commercial availability in early 2026. We had a great interview with Tandem Diabetes on our previous episode, but as I said at the time, that interview came before their earnings call and other information that was coming out. So here is an update. The company plans to submit the tubeless Mobi to the FDA before the end of this year. Possible approval and shipping date hoped for by middle of 2026. Trial for their fully closed-loop next-generation algorithm, which we talked about, will be launched in 2026. Sigi patch pump, still in development and maybe launched as a next-generation version of the Mobi. Got to shout out Dr. David On. He's on Instagram as On Call. He has been on the podcast before, and he posted some more information on Instagram after getting a message from Tandem CEO John Sheridan. He says the Tandem X2 is still in development, and that is a durable pump, much like the X2, but holds more insulin. He also confirmed that Tandem is far along in developing a caregiver follow app. We did talk about that on the podcast as well. It's going to be based on SugarMate, and there really isn't a timeline here. They just keep saying soon, but I know there's a lot of SugarMate fans out there. Nice, popular platform to build the Tandem follow app on. Sensonics submits Eversense 365, their year-long implantable CGM, for a CE mark. That's European approval. They expect to launch there soon. Eversense will be integrated with the Sequel Twist pump. Again, I'm hearing soon, but no definitive timeline. Interesting to note that 1-year insertion was approved in the U.S. just about 365 days ago. So the first patients will be having their CGMs changed out for the first time in a full year pretty soon. Kind of a confusing study out of Rutgers. These researchers say metformin reduces some of the key benefits normally gained from regular physical activity. These include improvements in blood vessel health, physical fitness, and the body's ability to regulate blood sugar. Since 2006, doctors have typically encouraged patients with elevated blood sugar levels to combine metformin with exercise. The new researchers say it may not produce the stronger results everybody expected. The drug also diminished gains in aerobic fitness and reduced the positive effects on inflammation and fasting glucose. These researchers say it doesn't mean people should stop taking metformin or stop exercising, but it does raise some pretty urgent questions for doctors about how the two treatments can be combined and the need for closer monitoring. It's hoped future research will uncover strategies that preserve the benefits of both. Dexcom recalled an Android app for its G6 glucose sensor due to a software problem. Could cause the app to terminate unexpectedly. The FDA says it could cause users to miss alarms, alerts, or notifications related to estimated glucose values. The app and the sensors are still available, but Dexcom now requires that you update the app to a new version. They began this recall in August. We've actually talked about it here before. The FDA designated the event as a Class 1 recall, the most serious kind. Dexcom has already sent notifications to customers, but the FDA is highlighting it again. Tidepool partners with smart ring maker Aura. Press release says to support a groundbreaking data set intended to be broadly available for diabetes research, with participation limited to individuals who opt in through Tidepool. Tidepool is going to pair biometric data from the Aura ring, sleep activity, heart rate, temperature trends, and menstrual cycles, with diabetes device data, including CGMs and insulin pumps. Recruitment is expected to start in early 2026. By opting into this study, you'd consent to share your data with Tidepool's Big Data Donation Project, where data is de-identified and, with participant consent, shared with academics, researchers, and industry innovators. Eli Lilly launches 2 new clinical trials for baricitinib. These phase 3 trials will investigate whether the drug can delay type 1 onset or progression and will open for recruitment soon. Baricitinib has the potential to extend the honeymoon period of type 1, meaning it could preserve remaining insulin-producing beta cells earlier in disease progression. Really interesting to note, baricitinib is a once-daily oral pill. As these researchers say, its use is simple and easy. Lots going on for Diabetes Awareness Month. Insulet is taking diabetes awareness into the workplace. Their campaign, The Day Diabetes Showed Up to Work, is based on a survey of almost 10,000 people, and 79% of those with diabetes say they have faced bias or misunderstanding at work. More than 40% of people with diabetes and caregivers said they have workplace-related anxiety tied to diabetes. And about a quarter of respondents reported fears that diabetes could limit opportunities or lead to workplace discrimination and judgment. A lot more information, this story, all these stories are linked up at diabetes-connections.com. A new directive issued by the Trump administration could mean people seeking visas to live in the U.S. might be rejected if they have certain medical conditions, including diabetes or obesity. The guidance says that such people could become a public charge, a potential drain on U.S. resources. The guidance directs visa officers to develop, quote, their own thoughts about what could lead to some sort of medical emergency or sort of medical costs in the future. But it's been pointed out that the State Department's own handbook says that visa officers cannot reject an application based on what-if scenarios. Immigrants already undergo a medical exam by a physician who is approved by a U.S. embassy. Expect to hear more on this one. Dexcom is unveiling 16 new diabetes advocates to represent people living with diabetes globally as part of their World Diabetes Day campaign. The advocates range from age 6 to 68, spanning various types of diabetes. They come from 4 continents, 5 countries, and were selected from 1,000 open call submissions based on their experiences. This is the first time Dexcom has sourced voices from the broader diabetes communities, specifically for their World Diabetes Day campaign. Mankind Corporation teams up with the Diabetes Link to announce the launch of the Centennial Al-Man Scholarship. The new program will distribute $100,000 in scholarship funds to support at least 10 young adult students living with diabetes as they pursue higher education in life sciences. Alfred E. Mann is the founder of Mankind, and he would have been 100 this year. The release says, deeply passionate about giving back, Mr. Mann believed his success should continue to serve humanity long after his passing, a belief that lives on through this initiative. And that is in the news for this week. But first, a word from our community. I said at the beginning of the show that I had something planned for Diabetes Awareness Month, and the plan is to amplify your voices. So I'm launching what I'm calling community commercials. These are short messages from you for other listeners. It's kind of a twist on, and now a word from our sponsors, but it's time for a word from our community. There's a blog post on the website over at diabetes-connections.com. I think you have to click episodes to get to it, but I've also put some links out on social media. And this is for anything you'd like to share. It could be an event, a fundraiser, local meetup, maybe a product you've created, a book you've got, and any kind of helpful resource for the community. I do have some ground rules. This is community only. It's not for a big company. You know who you are. See me. We do have paid advertising. It's got to be short, aim for 30 to 60 seconds. And we are reviewing all submissions, and I reserve the right to decline any commercial for any reason. Send your stuff to info@diabetes-connections.com. I hope to start getting submissions now, but we're going to keep this going. I'm going to be airing the first community commercials in January of 2026, and I hope we get enough to do this all year long. Again, just let me know if you have any questions, and I will link up the blog post where you can see all of the information and how to do this. I'm Stacey Sims. I'll see you back here soon. Until then, happy World Diabetes Day, and be kind to yourself.
Diabetes Connections is a production of Stacey Sims Media. All rights reserved, all wrongs avenged.